Welcome back. Election results confirmed by the California Secretary of State this week show that Khanna won more votes than congressional incumbent Mike Khanna in the 17th Congressional District primary. Khanna collected 39.1% of the vote, Khanna 37.4% of the votes. Now, what does this mean come the November election? NBC Bay Area's political analyst Larry Gersten joins us. And of course, these two will run opposed to each other in November. But this was not the number we expected.
No, this was different than anything a lot of people expected, and it was an incredibly interesting election for so many reasons. Look, incumbents, Scott, they rarely lose elections, especially in the primary. That's not the place to lose. In this case, with the 17th Congressional District, a challenger from the Democratic Party bested the Democratic incumbent, and that's saying a lot. And this is, by the way, only part one of a two-part drama. Why? Because California has that crazy top two primary system where these two Democrats will face off yet again in the fall.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you say lose. Technically didn't lose in the sense that he got fewer votes, but they go together into the November. How is this going to be different? Because they ran opposed to each other last time around.
Yeah, well, in the 2014 primary, Honda clobbered Khanna by 20 points. But in November, Khanna closed that gap to 3.6%, a small deficit. Now, for that reason, the Khanna folks, geez, they're pretty happy. After all, the Khanna campaign this time around did much better than the primary campaign of 2 years ago. And by the way, as an aside, this is just driving people crazy for the Democrats. You know, the fact that two Democrats are opposing each other has caused, I mean, heartburn for many of the area's leading party leaders. But that can happen. That can happen with California's truly unique top two primary.
We can say a Democrat's going to win in this, you know. I mean, so they've got that party. That's I mean, it's stunning from two years ago. How much more could Khanna collect, and how is he able? I mean, Khanna's been in office what, 16 years? Yep. The incumbent almost always wins.
Almost always wins. But there are three factors. Potentially unrelated, but all come together here, if you will, that really made this race different from 2014. First, Khanna didn't have to spend money and energy branding himself. In effect, look, he's been running against Honda since 2012. This time around, he's a known quantity. Second, Khanna tweaked his approach. In 2014, he presented himself as a much-needed high-tech voice for the Valley. This time around, no. He mined the district through dozens, and I mean dozens, of coffee klatches and meetings throughout the district in all kinds of local communities. You know what, Scott? You know this, I know this. People like attention from those folks seeking office. And third, Mike Khanna, gosh, he's in ethics purgatory. And by that, I mean ethics purgatory. The Congressional Ethics Committee is considering charges against Khanna concerning inappropriate use of office personnel for campaign activities. That's a no-no. Now, the lack of resolution by this committee, it leaves a dark cloud over Honda, which is terribly unfortunate because we know that for many people, charges of improper ethics, unfortunately in their minds, translate to guilt.
Even if it hasn't been proven. Yeah. What do we watch now? Obviously the ethics issue, but what else do we watch between now and November?
Okay, some considerations. Money. Will Khanna's stunning win make it easier to raise campaign funds? Will it also make it harder for Honda to raise money? Second, turnout. Nearly a quarter of the voters in June, well, they were Republicans. Which of these two candidates will they favor in November? And yes, that point you raised a minute ago. Third, the ethics charge. Will the Ethics Committee get off its duff, clear Honda of the charges? Will it reprimand him for the charges or remain in limbo still? Honda needs the charges to be dismissed for this issue to go away. So you put all this together, this has become a classic race nobody really expected. They're watching it all across the country. How it turns out remains to be seen.
One last question for you, Larry, and that is this top two thing's relatively new. So we are talking there are only two candidates.
That's right.
No other candidates.
That's
no
right.
Green Party, no Republican Party, no independents. Two candidates.
Yes, and this idea of two candidates from the same party is growing. We're seeing more and more in the primary where the second major party is left out, the minor parties don't have a chance, and that's what's happening.